There's been a lot of conversation that's gone on over the past, I don't know, maybe couple of months in particular, but probably staking back even longer than that, with the Elon Musk acquisition of Twitter and taking it off the public stock exchange. So in this video, I'm going to break down for you my feelings on the whole situation, what I think about what Elon is doing. Is it good for the future of the platform? Is it good for him as a whole? Is it good for his other businesses? Let's just jump right in. Elon Musk is somebody that over the past couple of years has become a bit of a mixed opinion individual in our current pop culture, okay? Some people look at him as the greatest entrepreneur of our generation. Other people look at him as reckless, too outspoken, whatever the case might be. He's not going to maybe fit inside the lines of maybe your traditional multi-billionaire, multiple company owner entrepreneur, okay? Me personally, I love Elon Musk. And a lot of people first heard the name Elon Musk when he co-founded PayPal. Okay, yes, indeed, Elon Musk did help co-found PayPal, which many of you might know today, use today. In 2002, it was sold to eBay for about $1.5 billion. Elon Musk took a majority of his profits, used it to acquire Tesla, which was kind of a struggling electric car company. If you kind of look at the history of it all, there's documentaries that you can kind of watch and kind of see the timeline of this. So Elon Musk nowadays, for the past handful of years, has ran Tesla and also SpaceX. Okay, so SpaceX is a company that is looking to colonize Mars and different areas of space and take on different projects for NASA about launching rockets into space and kind of making new innovations from that point. And Tesla's an electric car company. Okay, Tesla has been one of the hottest stocks on the stock market the past handful of years. Now, right now, it's not doing so well, but what stock is, right, on the stock exchange? And then, of course, earlier this year, Elon Musk, and it was on April 14th, he began the acquisition of Twitter. And essentially, his whole reasoning behind it, between acquiring Twitter, was he felt like the platform was censoring a lot of free speech, which I 100% agree with. It's a platform that I haven't used much. I have an account, but I hardly ever use it for multiple years in my own right. And I know a lot of people were leaving the platform. The platform was definitely on the decline. The relevance of it has just been dying off for years. So Elon comes in and he buys the platform. It's a platform that he really likes. A lot of celebrities use Twitter. I mean, prior to this acquisition, Twitter was made up kind of two people. One, anonymous trolls, eggs on Twitter, and number two, celebrities, right? There wasn't really that many in between, right? People that had the verified blue check marks. But April 14th, 2022, this year, Elon begins his acquisition of Twitter. Prior to that, in January of 2022, so this year, Elon took a 9.1% ownership stake in the company, and that was kind of the beginning of what was to come in April when he started the acquisition. Now, his whole agenda for it was to make it a platform of free speech once again. Because Twitter, let's face it, no matter what political ideology you have, and I'm not trying to make this about politics one way or another, but the platform had dramatically censored certain viewpoints. Conservatives and people on the right, heavily favoring people on the left. Like, it was banning people like Milo Yiannopoulos, banning all different kinds of people that were putting out conservative viewpoints, but keeping people on that were with the Taliban, for example, and kind of coordinating terrorist attacks and things like that. Makes absolutely no sense, and it was just a significant amount of bias in terms of who was banned and who wasn't, in terms of who was violating rules and who wasn't, who they were actually singling out and who they were not. And so the platform has kind of been viewed that way for quite some time. Now, I'm sure people that weren't being censored were probably very, very happy kind of the way things have been going currently. So Elon comes in. Elon has probably shifted more towards the conservative side of things in his politics over the past couple of years, but he's also stated that he would vote for a Democrat if the right candidate presented themselves. So I view him as kind of like a critical thinker. You know, he's not going to kind of go one way or the other based on, which one his political party is kind of, leaning towards. He's going to very much kind of do things based on his own viewpoints and thought process and the whole nine yards, okay? So fast forward, it concluded on October 27th, 2022. Elon finally has acquired Twitter based on that day. He decides to take Twitter off of the stock exchange and move it from a publicly traded company to a privately owned company. So it's off the stock exchange altogether. He eradicates his board of directors. Within a week of acquiring the company, he fires about 3,700 people and has fired more from there. There's been certain groups of employees at Twitter that have, given him ultimatums and made complaints and tried to provide a bit of pushback in terms of kind of the new rules that he was imposing. And he's fired a lot of people since then. So he's cut the staff down dramatically. Some people have complained that have remained on the payroll that he's been overworking them. This is kind of my viewpoint. I think anytime you work for a Musk, a Jobs, a Bezos, somebody like that, they're going to have a vision. And anybody that isn't on board with that vision is going to not fit in very well, and they're not going to get along very well with the new management and the new owner and the new leader of the organization. Okay, Elon brought in, some engineers from Tesla to try to kind of rework the algorithm. Recently, actually, in the last week or so, he unbanned former President Donald Trump from the platform, allowing him to kind of be back on the platform if he so chooses to be so. So Elon has made a lot of changes, but I can tell you this from my standpoint, just kind of viewing it from the outside looking in. Elon has such an amazing track record in terms of businesses. And I don't care what anybody says. You can't dispute that. What he's been able to do with Tesla speaks for itself. The fact, that he's built multiple companies over the years, sold companies, built companies to where their valuations have kind of skyrocketed and really just kind of thrived from that point. I am all for what he's doing at Twitter. I think it's a great thing. I think I'm all for free speech, no matter what your political ideology is. I think you should have the right to express opinions and ideas as long as they're not, inciting violence or anything like that. I think that there should be a line, but I don't think there should be a line for some people and not others in similar circumstances, okay? I think Elon's incredibly smart. I think he's me personally, I fall more in the camp that he is the greatest entrepreneur that we've had in our generation. He's just a little bit more outspoken than people like. I can tell you this, guys. Twitter has had more publicity since Elon took over than they have had in multiple years. The platform was on the decline. You can look at the numbers. You can kind of look at their bases and everything like that. Their user base has been up since Elon took over. I've heard Twitter talked about more in just public discourse and conversations than I have in years. People are more interested in the platform because of kind of what he's doing. People that have given pushback to me are typically people that fall into one of three categories. Number one, they're super hardcore liberal or on the left, which I don't care. This isn't a political video or anything like that, but maybe they have strong opinions about him allowing certain conservatives back on the platform and not allowing them to kind of voice their opinion, and maybe they don't like that. Maybe they like to be able to voice their opinion. They don't like other people to be allowed to voice theirs. In my opinion, I think the way that you reach progress in any kind of disagreement or argument, whether it be politics, personal life, or anything like that, is through intellectual conversation and kind of reaching a middle ground. And that's kind of how you get to a point where we reach progress. It's not through censoring one side or the other and allowing one side to talk and not another, because then that kind of gets us to a point where it's censorship. And I don't believe in censorship. I think that you should be allowed to have adult, mature conversations to reach better ideas. If there's a bad idea that's taking place, the best way to combat a bad idea is with a good idea and through conversation and challenging such an idea. You can't do that if you're not allowed to speak on either side, right? Left or right or anything else in between. And so I think that that's actually a great thing for the platform. I think it sets it apart. I think it's one of the only incredibly large social media platforms that's kind of taking that stand under Elon's leadership. There's so many of them that censor, and I just am a big believer that that's just not a good thing for our society or anything like that. I think that there should be limits. Like if there's a terrorist group, I'm fine taking them off a platform. Twitter didn't do that with Taliban. I think if there is like a serial killer, they should be taken off the platform, right? Or if there's whatever the case might be, right? Like just really extreme, horrific things happening in our society. But if someone votes for somebody in particular, or someone takes a particular political stand, like even if you don't like it, even if you don't agree with it, I don't think they should censor it particularly. I don't think you should censor the super hardcore left liberal side of things. I don't think you should censor the super hardcore conservative right side of things. I think where you reach progress is through conversation, debate, discord, and disagreements at times. And I think that's what kind of Elon Musk understands. And, I think, as I was saying earlier, I think Twitter has been more relevant, more talked about, and people kind of care what's going on with the platform more since Elon began the acquisition than they have in multiple years. I think under his leadership, I think the Twitter world will be expanded. I think the platform was maybe just years away from maybe just collapsing into irrelevancy. And now I think this kind of gives it some new life, which was desperately needed. I think a lot of people that worked for Twitter were maybe, just kind of coddled a little bit. They were just kind of babies. And I think, you have someone come in like an Elon Musk, and he is not going to put up with any shit. He's going to demand what he demands. He's going to demand a certain standard of his staff and his employees, and it's probably going to be very difficult to work for him. Anybody that's a super high achiever, it's probably not always going to be super easy to work for them. You can look at historical examples of this, of people that have been super successful in business and ran large companies. Elon Musk is a guy that taught himself rocket science, through reading books and things like that. The dude is incredibly intelligent, super intellectual, super smart, knows what he's doing, and he's also not afraid to be a troll on Twitter, which I absolutely love. As I was saying a second ago, there's three different types of people that are pushing back against this. I said the first one already: super hardcore liberal left types that don't like the other side of things being allowed to speak. That's number one. Number two would be, celebrities and actors and things like that are being told they have to pay $8 a month to keep their blue check. If you're not familiar with what I mean by the blue check, Twitter has a blue check that people can put next to their name to kind of verify that's really them, So like if it's let's say a Robert Downey Jr., some kind of really famous actor, there's going to be 1,000, 1,000,000 different Twitter accounts that are fake accounts of him, so he can go through the process and get a blue check to verify that that's actually really him and it's the real Robert Downey Jr. account, for example, or any kind of well-known public person, whether it be a celebrity, politician, whatever the case might be. Elon is saying that people have to pay $8 a month for that because he feels like it's valuable. And a ton of people are going to pay for it. Now, some people have said they're going to leave the platform. I haven't seen one person say they're going to leave the platform that anybody gives a shit about. That's just my personal opinion. Who cares if you're going to leave the platform? Who cares? People aren't on Twitter because of the few celebrities that have stated they're going to leave the platform. It's the same thing as when a political candidate wins an election and it's not the one that they voted for, though they publicly supported. They say they're going to leave the country. They never do. I can't think of one celebrity that I actually saw that claimed they would leave the country due to the outcome of an election, the last two elections, that actually did it. Maybe there's a couple, but it's not any that really matter, or anybody that anybody really cares about. And so, I don't think a couple, C-list celebrities leaving the platform is going to have any impact whatsoever. I think people are going to flood to the platform because they're able to have free speech and conversations where they weren't prior. And I think, also the third type of person that's going to be kind of giving pushback is, news media. News media that likes to paint an agenda. I think a lot of this, unfortunately, ends up having to do with politics, even though I don't want it to be a political conversation. I think it sometimes is. Elon Musk recently came out and said in 2024 he would support Ron DeSantis for president in 2024. So obviously, the media that is against that kind of narrative, against that type of right-wing conservative ideas of a Ron DeSantis or anything like that, and of course, he brings Donald Trump back on the platform, that goes against the narrative of that side of the media. Now, let me put it pointly blank for you. I think all media is completely biased. I think all media has an agenda to push, and they're all full of shit, okay? But I think that side of the media, whether it be CNN, MSNBC, any of those, liberal, super hardcore liberal organizations, now they're kind of going at Elon and, trying to paint him as he's doing this terrible job at Twitter. But that's because it meets their narrative. You kind of look at what happened to Joe Rogan with a lot of these, super liberal news media outlets when he came out and kind of expressed some ideas that kind of went back against how they believe, how they tried to do, that character assassination of him, if you will. And then he just had a larger platform. He had more audience than they do. So he just stood up and just stomped them, and it didn't work out well for them. Trying to do the same thing to Elon. It's not about if what he's doing is good for free speech or good for our society or good for the platform or good for business. It has to do that he's not on the same viewpoint as a lot of these media outlets. That's kind of the way that I look at it. And I don't know how you can see it any other way, no matter what your political ideology is, or whether you agree with kind of his political ideology or his beliefs or not. I think you have to look at what he's doing for the platform. I think it's good to have it there. I think it's a good thing going forward. And I think it makes Twitter relevant again, to where it was a very much irrelevant platform to the average everyday person prior to this acquisition taking place. Anyway, guys, I just wanted to kind of give my thoughts on this and kind of, just kind of do some commentary on kind of what's been going on and a timeline of Elon Musk's acquisition of Twitter. It'll be fun to kind of see how it goes. I find myself consistently opening up my Twitter account where I hadn't for months prior to that, and just kind of seeing what Elon was tweeting, because he's very much a troll, and he doesn't care, and there's nothing anyone can do about it because he owns the platform. He's one of the richest, most successful people in the world. And, intellectually, he's incredibly smart. So, I saw some people, that were politicians criticizing him, requiring $8 a month, like AOC or someone like that. He comes back and says, your feedback is appreciated. Now pay $8 a month. Like I just am watching that stuff, and I'm just so amused by kind of the back and forth in it, because they can try to tear him down, but he's too big. He's not cancelable, I'm sorry to say. And so it'll be interesting to kind of see what happens. But my prediction is I think it's going to be great for the platform. I think it's going to be great for Twitter. I think it's going to be a more relevant social media platform in a day and age where Facebook is still pretty relevant, although they're struggling. Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, Pinterest, whatever, platform that you're on, YouTube, of course. I think it kind of saves them and allows them to continue to be relevant for quite some time longer. And I think it extends their lifeline, if you will. Anyway, guys, what do you think about this? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Kind of a completely different kind of video than we normally do, but I'd love to have a dialogue with you, conversation. If you agree with me, comment down below. If you disagree with me, comment down below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this video, and make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any content. We'll see you next time, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Here's to your success and your abundance. Thanks, guys.